So welcome to the intro of episode 8. I'm Chris.
I'm Phil.
We talked a little bit about news, which included some free-to-play games and microtransactions.
Yep. And then we started talking about new release games, or when this airs, actually games that are out now and how we feel about them. Yep.
Enjoy.
And I'll make a deal with Twitter followers that if this podcast hits 200 followers that day, assuming that they're not fake followers, I'll go out and I'll actually
buy us Twitter followers.
I will buy a new system.
And can you be more specific, just so we don't have loopholes that you can get around?
Sure. I will buy a new generation system.
So you're saying like a PS4 and Xbox One?
PS4
or a Wii U? I'll give you a Wii U.
Okay, PS4, Xbox One, Wii U.
Okay, it's or depending
games. If we
three systems.
Or depending on when this actually hit 200, or a Steam box. Can I say Steam box that's not even out yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be one of those 4 systems depending on when we hit the 200 followers. We
how
hit 200 followers.
How much is that? The $200? Is that the price point, or have they said yet?
Oh, Steam box is more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
When is it supposed to come out? They keep changing it.
Right now it's pushed back till it's like spring of next year.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, if we hit 200 followers tomorrow, tomorrow meaning the day after this is released, then it's down to the 3 systems. If we hit 200 followers 2 years from now, then it's at the 4.
Oh, that's true. If this happens 2 years from now and we're still doing the podcast, we haven't gotten 200 followers.
Yeah.
And let's say, theoretically, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox 2 has come out.
Then I got to get a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so...
Won't go back. I won't like get a PlayStation 3 and say like, well, 200 followers, I got a new system. Yeah.
So that's basically, you've thrown the gauntlet down. You've issued a challenge to our listeners. So
all right, enjoy the episode, guys.
Okay.
Please and don't create new Twitter followers. I never was big into pinball growing up. Pinball wasn't my thing.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of after your time.
Did people really like bump the machine to get the ball to
I mean, that's certainly a strategy as part of it. Also, in actual pinball machines, sometimes the thing will get stuck somewhere. And that's where I would use it more, but sometimes people will use it to adjust. Like, if it's going to go right down the middle, if you hit it, and then you can hit it with one of the flippers then. Yeah.
I guess, like, my brain might just not fire that quick.
Well, when you're not... But also, it's like another tool in your arsenal. If you know, like, your body has to be set up the right way.
You have to know.
Because otherwise, it's gone before you can do it. And then you hit the machine afterwards and you feel like an idiot. Yeah.
So somebody else was already on that machine by the time you took a swing at it.
Yeah, you should have somebody just there tilting machines for you.
I have it on a little car jack. Just pump it.
All right, I guess welcome to episode 8 of the podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Phil.
And that's all we had prepared for today, so thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in. No, today we have a very strict schedule that we're going to adhere to, which is unlike any other episode we've ever had.
Well, we're going to freeball it. We're just going to... Yeah.
We're going to start with some news. Boom. Then we're going to go to more news.
Then other news.
Yeah.
We're going to go for, I guess, some new releases, games that haven't come out yet.
Yep.
And then we're going to talk about games we're currently playing.
Yep. And then I think we'll see where we're at.
We'll see where that goes. Yeah. All right. So first thing in the news that I
news me.
News you? Okay.
News me up good. Pretend I'm in underwear and you're going to news me up.
I don't know if I'm familiar with this term.
I'm just using it as like
oil.
You
don't need to actually take your pants off.
Just oil me up with news.
Also, I will notice that, you did get a haircut today, so I knew you knew we were shooting the podcast.
Yes.
And you wanted to look your best.
Oh, my God, so
you
good.
got a haircut.
I did.
Looks great.
Was fantastic.
Yep.
The lady was very nice. I feel like she was flirting with me until I mentioned that we, not me and you, but I just said the word we have a cat, and I think then immediately shut her down. And she was just like, my boyfriend has dogs.
Yeah, like it's a competition all of a sudden.
Fantastic. I was just telling you that my cat doesn't sleep at night, and I get up at 4 a.m. every morning because it's meowing because it's lost.
Right. So, because either way, she probably doesn't want to get further in that situation. Because if it's you and a male roommate, that's weird that you guys have a cat together.
Yeah.
And obviously, if it's a woman, then she doesn't want to step on that either.
Yeah. I mean, I was
Or if you have like an imaginary friend that you say we, if you have like a mannequin you use as a...
I mean, like, I don't... Obviously, it's been a while since I've looked at myself in a mirror, as you can tell, how I dress myself and prepare myself. But, I mean, I feel like I still look young enough that I could be, like, living at home. Like, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I could just be, like, weaving like my parents.
Maybe that was a turnoff also. Maybe
that's true.
So...
I mean, regardless, I'm getting married, so...
Right.
She didn't have a chance anyway. Right, Caitlin? Wink!
Yeah.
But, whatever. Yeah, haircut. Done. That was my one task today.
Yep. And the podcast, of course.
And the podcast. But I don't consider the podcast a task.
You put a lot more preparation in your haircuts than you do
I did.
The podcast.
3 all the way around.
Yep.
5 minutes and a $5 tip. It's the easiest way for them to make money. Because I can't tip less than some sort of, like, even number.
Yeah.
Even though 5 is...
You never want to give change.
5 is technically odd. I get it. But, like, I can't be like, oh, this haircut's only a $4. Just fucking round.
And also, you can't give somebody, like, you can't give somebody, like, oh, $3 because it's 15, 20%.
Yeah.
If, there is kind of, like, a minimum tip that you always have to give.
Yeah. So even though my haircut is $12...
Yeah.
Like, I could go 3 to bring it up to 15, which would be a smart way to do it. But I'm just like... It's $5.
I think you're leading her on with that $5 tip.
You think so?
Now she thinks she has
I don't remember her name, and I don't think she knows mine.
She's crying right now listening to this podcast.
If she's listening to this podcast, I apologize for the conversation we had and the cats.
Unless they somehow accidentally played the podcast at the haircut place over the loudspeakers, I don't think she's going to hear this podcast.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Dodged a bullet there.
Yep.
All right, so lay some... I know you got a topic.
Oh, yeah, so news. So this is just something that I saw recently, and it's a topic we've kind of been flirting with but never actually got into, which is, like, free-to-play games and mobile games.
Okay.
So this 15-year-old in Belgium, racked up over $46,000 in online purchases in a game called Game of War. It was a free-to-play iPhone game, and so, I don't know.
Are you familiar with the game?
I'm not familiar with the game. I've seen a couple screenshots just looking into the story, but the whole idea is it's a free game, but of course there's microtransactions in the game which allow you to buy supplies, buy gold, buy weapons, etc., so you can further your character rather than playing for hundreds of hours. You can just buy that stuff.
Yeah.
And he racked up over, it's like 37,000 euros, which is $46,000. And the thing is, I know in the past they've sort of been refunding money, both Apple and like Android and stuff.
Yeah,
they'll give you, if your kid racks up too much money because they don't have the parental guides in place right now. They'll give you back. But this kid was 15 years old. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, you can't play that to ignorance. Like, I gave it to my toddler and he just kept hitting the yellow gold bricks because yellow's his favorite color, or something stupid like that. I have a colleague at work whose kid did the same thing, where it's literally just like, you want to shut the kid up, so you give it an iPad or a phone like that, and they're just playing, and you don't realize
you don't have the option to block microtransactions on your phone. At least you didn't. I know they're starting to implement that stuff.
But yeah, and then they ended up raking up like $100 bill, and they called, and they were just like, freaking, I don't want any of this shit. I've already deleted the game. Yeah. Like, my kid did this. Like, and then they refunded her the money, but it was... Yeah, 15-year-old, like, you know what you're doing.
You know what you're doing.
And you either like hate your parents.
Yeah.
Or like,
and you have to be doing it for a long time because usually the microtransactions are anywhere from $1 to $30 from my experiences on mobile games.
There's a couple that are $100.
Yeah, well,
I think Simpsons Tapped Out had like $100 one. I think the Kim Kardashian one has $100 one.
But still, that's 4,600 times you're hitting the button.
Yeah, it's not one day. It's not one day.
And that sort of brings us to other free-to-play games, like on consoles and stuff. Because I was talking to you once about this game called Warframe, which sort of was the original Dark Sector. So Dark Sector was a game that was supposed to launch with the 360.
Okay.
They came out with a cinematic trailer. It looked really cool. A couple years later, the game finally comes out. Looks nothing like that.
Not cool
at all.
For the record.
Yeah. We'll put that up on the board for not cool.
Yeah.
So visually, it didn't look anything like that. Gameplay was nothing like that. So a couple years after that, the developers like, hey, this is the game we wanted to make, and they made it as a free-to-play, like sort of Ninja Fighter PC game. Since then, they've released it on the consoles, and because it's a free-to-play game, there's also microtransactions in it. And I talked to you about this before, but so you can buy platinum in the game, which I've never played it, so I think it helps you upgrade your armor and your weapons, things like that.
Okay.
And for 3,200 platinums, it's $150. Now, there's a smaller range. It goes from 75 platinums to 325, or 3,200.
Yeah.
But still, to range from $25 to $150, and that's not even going to win you the game. That's just going to give you extra stuff, so you have to play less. And I think that is absolutely ridiculous.
I think, here's the thing. I think the free-to-play games, there's a couple that have just, like, hit the mark where people are just paying absurd amount of money, like Candy Crush comes to mind.
Right, where
stuff
you have
like that.
the sort of addiction, like you don't want to stop playing, you don't have to do other things.
Exactly, and you have to buy lives, if I'm familiar with Candy Crush, where it's
you have to do certain things to get new levels. So either people have to give you money or they have to help you unlock them by doing things on their own.
Yeah, but so like you could just pay like $1 to bypass this stuff. And so I understand that game, I never played it because I have what most people call self-control.
Yeah. As far as that goes.
Is I've never played it, but I understand that game got hugely successful, very popular, made a shitload of money. It essentially put King, which is the company that made it, on the map, where they ended up able to come out with a shitload of other crappy games.
Copyright the word candy.
Yeah. That's a whole other topic we can get into a different time. So I understand the new free-to-play games are essentially trying to find their crack. They're trying to find that one thing where it's like, we want people to pay shitload of money, but I think it's just getting absurd now.
Right.
Paying $150 for something that doesn't even, like, if it unlocked all the levels.
You're invincible, you can do all this stuff. But it's like, no, I could essentially buy this $150 pack 2 or 3 times and still have to keep playing the game.
Yeah.
And that's a little crazy.
I mean, I know this is a stretch, but I feel like these free-to-play games that use microtransactions are kind of like a new scam.
Oh, absolutely. Because the problem is, though, that they're so successful on the mobile front. That's why it's really troublesome when it gets into console games. Actually, full-fledged, fully published games. Like, I understand, okay, Candy Crush, it's like, oh, it took $20 to develop or something. Like, if it's a small nothing game and it's like, oh, we don't want to have ads in the game, so we're going to throw microtransactions out there, and if you want to pay for it, you can. But It's like when they're getting to the point where it's like you physically can no longer play the game unless if you pay money or wait like 36 real hours, that's not okay.
Yeah. I think the one that hurts my soul the most is I was a big Plants vs. Zombies fan, the first one.
Yeah.
The PopCap. I mean, I played it on browser, and then I ended up getting the 360 collection, which came with Peggle and Zuma and stuff like that. And then Caitlin got addicted. We both got addicted to it. We'd play it. Like, our entire Saturday would just be like us trading the controller back and forth playing Plants vs. Zombies. It's like, oh man, they're making a second one, and the second one essentially becomes a free to play Plants vs. Zombies game where it's just like, oh, do you want to buy better plants?
Yeah.
Well, you can either spend 40 hours
collecting enough to
buy like a shrubbery that does jack shit, or you can pay us money and unlock that character. And they did that for levels, and they did that for plants, and they did that for, I don't know, background music. Like, it was such anti-gaming that it's just like, I don't mind.
Like EA though.
It is. I don't mind putting in a lot of time to unlock stuff.
Yeah.
Like, grinding has never been a problem for me. Hence, like RPGs where that's the whole thing. The whole game is grinding.
Yeah. I mean, 95% of the game
is
just...
So it's like, that doesn't bother me. Like, I'll put in 20 hours to unlock something, which is why I've never paid for any of this free-to-play stuff if I get one of those games. But at the same time, it just seems like it's just like, we're developing a game with the sole intention
of just
screwing you out of money. Because we know there's people out there who don't have the patience, or who don't have the time, who don't have the ability to say no, and we're just going to capitalize on them. It's like, why don't you just, like, anytime you buy this game, we'll give you a bag of crack, and we'll tell you where the nearest crack dealer is.
Exactly.
And then it's up to you.
First one's free.
Yeah, it's up to you if you want to keep going back and getting high. Like,
right.
You're killing me here. And I agree with you. The console stuff is the worst, because mobile I can understand.
Right. And it's like, okay, I don't want to play a mobile game for 17 more hours. It used to be like, okay, play this for an hour, get this, or buy it right now. But now it's like, oh, play this for 3 weeks and get this. They're trying to force you to only get the microtransactions. They're trying to force you to not play at all. It's either pay us or don't play this anymore. Yep. And that's not fun. Like, I understand if it's a super casual game to be like, hey, time shortcuts, those are okay. But if, like I said, if you're just putting up walls so nobody can play the game, that's not okay.
I mean, I think the last one, my brother told me to get Simpsons Tapped Out, which of course is EA, so won't touch on the fact that it's EA. But essentially, it's just like rebuild Springfield, which I'm a Simpsons fan. You're a Simpsons fan. Like I know that world as well as my own, like map wise. So it's like, oh man, I get to place where people where I want them. I can place buildings where I want them. But the problem is, every time you try and do a task to either raise money or build something, it's either like, wait 3 days and this will be built and then you can use that character again, or give us $1. It's like, yeah, at first it's like, okay, I'll wait a day. But then they get to the point where it's just like, you want to build the church? Wait 40 days or pay us $10 and you'll get the church. Otherwise, your entire people are used. So it's just like, you're either training me to not use your game, which it did, because then obviously since I'm not checking the game for 40 days, I don't even realize it's still on my phone. So then at that point I'm just like, I haven't played this in 2 months, I'll just delete it. Or you get the people who are just like, I gotta get this, and they keep paying money, and I know that's why they're doing it. They're not trying to
care about the people that care about the game.
Yeah, they're not
people that want to pay them
money.
Yeah,
they're not gearing it towards me where they're just like, oh, this guy really loves Simpsons. They're gearing it towards people who just want to pay that $5 to get that instant gratification.
Yeah.
And I feel like they can't because they're not doing anything illegal, but I feel like these things need to be relegated.
No, it's not illegal. It's just shitty.
Yeah.
It's just not cool, man.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, too. Like, I downloaded a mobile game called Disco Zoo, which I told you about when I downloaded it. So I think it's the same people that made Tiny Tower. So I hadn't played Tiny Tower in, like, 2 years, and I was just playing it, sitting around waiting for somebody. And I was like, hey, do you want to buy this game? Or do you want to download this free game? Normally I'm like, no, I don't even look at it. But it's like, Disco Zoo, I'm listening. So I downloaded it. I played it for a long time. It was a lot of fun. But I was getting to the point where it was really pushing the microtransactions. Yep. It was really like, okay, so I played this game for a very long time. I built up a good zoo. But you have to get enough animals to make your zoo big enough to unlock new vehicles to go out and capture new animals, sort of thing.
Okay.
So I got to this point, which was basically a stopgap, where it was like, okay, I did the math to figure out what I needed to do to be able to get enough money. So basically is all your animals in the zoo is they'll fall asleep in a certain amount of time and you have to tap them to wake them up, otherwise you're not getting money for them. And so I did the math, and I was going to need to playing the game to make sure everybody in my zoo was awake for 36 hours. That's why I used that example before I could then get to the next part of the game. Or I could pay $15 right then. But it's like 36 hours of game time for a mobile game.
Yeah, that's insane.
Just to get to the next level.
That's longer than most console games.
Right, so I deleted the game from my phone then. I had been playing the game for 2 weeks pretty consistently. And when I got to that point and did the math and realized that I would just have to sit there, I couldn't do anything else with the game other than tap the animals awake for 36 hours, I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Well, the thing is, like, and I think before we just beat a dead horse, like, the fact that it's coming into console games, obviously Warframe you listed came out. There's been a couple other like arcade games that I know for 360 that have been like battle tanks and stuff like that have come out.
I mean, that's the thing. They're throwing them in the sort of first-person shooters too. I know Call of Duty sort of does that. You can buy weapon packs and upgrades.
Dead Space 3 is the one that I think is, to me, comes up the most, is like, because you can mod your gun. So it's like you can either find all the stuff to mod your gun, or if you just want a super sweet, awesome gun that can kill all the bad guys super fast, you can pay $20 or something like that.
It takes the one element of the game of scavenging out of it. Yeah. And that's another thing too, is it's not only is it shitty to the people that are buying it, because they're gouging people for money, but it takes the accomplishment away from the people that did it legitimately.
Oh yeah, for sure. But people don't care about that anymore.
No, I know. That's the thing. It takes away any from both sides, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and another one, the last one that I'll touch on, and then we can probably move off this, is I have a fighting game, Street Fighter versus Tekken. And And besides the fact that it's just Street Fighter characters and Tekken characters and it's a fighting game, whatever, you get these gems which you can equip your characters with that have special powers. Some of them are just like, block 3 times and you get like a 5 seconds of where you do more damage. Little shit like that.
Yeah.
But you can buy gems. You can't unlock them during the game at all.
That's stupid. Then.
There's no way to unlock them. You could go perfect throughout the entire game. You can never get hit by the computer on the hardest difficulty. You're not going to unlock shit. You can buy gems. It's like $1 a gem or something like crazy like that. And the gems give you certain powers. Maybe it's like if your health hits 50%, it automatically regenerates to 75. Crazy, like, good gems. The thing is, you can use those gems online to play, because once you buy them, you can use them.
The problem is that's basically breaking the game.
Yeah, so it's like if you wanted to pay more money than if me and you were playing each other, and I was just like, man, Chris is kicking my ass, I'm just going to buy these gems that cost $5 a piece, and it's going to be like, I have regeneration, I have damage times 20 and stuff like that. I can buy those gems, I can equip them, and you can still be a better person than me.
It doesn't matter.
And it doesn't matter. I essentially just bought my victory over you.
Yeah.
And you can't see what gems I have equipped. It just shows, like, when they get activated.
That makes it even worse.
Yeah, so you can't just be like, oh, did he get it because he blocked me? Or did he get it
because... Why are you so good all of a sudden?
Yeah, it's just like, well, screw you, man. I just won.
Retire from games.
Yeah. And those are the things that bother me, because like some of those, like the free to play when it's only yourself, I hate them. Like, but it's essentially it's yourself to blame.
Yeah.
But the ones where it's like free to play, pay to win games, it's like that.
Exactly.
That's even worse, because you're playing against other people. You don't have it should be level playing field.
Yeah.
If you want to buy those gems to play against the computer, great, do it. But like they should immediately remove those from online, and it's just like standard. You can only play with gems that both characters have or the default. And then it's just like even playing field. But that's just not how people see it anymore.
Well, it's because it's all about who's making money off the games.
Yeah.
And they don't care about people enjoying it anymore.
Well, no, that's never been an issue.
No.
News me up. News me up again.
Another news. Like, this isn't like totally news, but there's an article that we both read about how Evolve is coming out with this limited edition statue. I'm assuming it comes with the game. I didn't read into it that much. Because,
I didn't check that.
Because I know that seems ridiculous, but the Titanfall special edition giant X $100 statue didn't come with the game.
It didn't.
It didn't. No, the game didn't come with it.
Perfect.
So
because I really just want to buy a statue for a game I don't own.
Right, exactly. And I think a lot of the people pre-ordered it thinking that the game was going to come with it, because that's always sort of been the standard practice.
Yeah, you get an action figure.
If I'm going to pay $600 to $800 for a statue, I'm going to get a game with it, right?
Because it's crazy too. Because you're like, games are the most expensive part. You go out and you buy a $60 game, and then you're just like, oh, so if I'm buying an $800 statue, the $60 game is nothing. Just toss that in.
Yeah.
Put it in a garbage bag and have the Titan holding it.
At least give me a digital copy of the game.
I don't even need the box. I bought an $800 goddamn statue. Just give it to me.
But yeah, so Evolve is coming out with a $750 limited edition statue, and I guess there's an $800 even more limited edition that's coming out in one of the Comic-Cons that's coming up.
I'll just say though, if there's a $750 and an $800, and this is going to alienate zero of our audience because we don't have an audience.
Yeah.
If you're dumb enough to buy the $750,
you might as well get the $800.
Just pay the extra $50 and get the $800.
Because that's even cooler and even more limited edition.
Yeah,
$50 is nothing at that point.
Yeah, it's not like if it was like you get the limited edition for $100 or you do the super limited edition for $300. I'd be like, whoa. An extra $200 for a statue.
No, thank you.
There's a line to cross. But it's like $750 to $800. You've already paid an absurd amount for a statue. Just go all in on that point.
Right. And what also kind of bothers me too is the only image
that also should come with the console, by the way.
Yeah. The only thing, the people. It's funny because people do pay for these statues and stuff. The same people that complain about consoles being too expensive to $400 to $500.
Yeah.
But that's another issue. But it's crazy because the only images they've shown of the statue so far have sort of been pre-rendered artist drawings of it / CG pictures. They haven't even actually shown the statue yet.
You just have to hope
But I mean, it looks pretty cool. It looks cool for $100 limited edition where you also get the game.
Yeah.
It does not look $800 cool.
No. And when we brought it up initially, I was thinking like recently, I guess a year ago, like whatever, we went to Universal Studios in Florida, and they have a Marvel section, like a walkthrough Marvel section. They have a lot of super awesome artwork that you're like, man, this is great. And you look at the price tag and you go, who's dumb enough to buy this? Because it's in like cases, it's like encased in bronze. You're just like, oh my god, look how sweet Wolverine looks. And then you're like, for what? $1,500?
Yeah.
No, I'm not walking out of a theme park buying a $1,500 souvenir.
Or walk into a theme park after buying a $1,500. Like, I'm not going to carry this around the rest of the day. Put it in the little lockers.
Yeah, because that definitely, if someone won't try and break in and steal that.
I'm sure it's going to be Universal, and they're going to put it back in the gift shop.
They're like,
sell to somebody else.
We didn't think anyone was dumb enough to buy this.
They only have the one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, I will say that I'm like a fan of video games, and I like collecting like the little I guess expensive edition stuff if I can get it, and it's a game that super interests me. But like there's a line that I draw where it's just like you get to a point where eventually you hit an age where you just can't put that stuff around anymore.
No.
Even if you had your own house, you don't live with your parents, whatever, and
unless if you created like a trophy room.
Yeah, but the thing is, like,
statues.
Yeah, if you bought an $800 Evolve statue, and you could put it up and be like, yeah, that's a really cool statue. Who are you going to impress with that?
Nobody. That's the thing. Only your guy friends. Like, girls, if they see it, it's a turnoff.
Yeah, but even your guy friends have to be diehard video game fans. You can't have a guy friend who's just like...
As long as you don't tell them how much it costs.
Yeah, I guess. If you're just like, look at that cool statue, you're like, oh yeah, it looks pretty cool. And then you're like, guess what I paid for that?
Yeah.
I don't know, $20. You're like, nope, $800.
Yeah.
Like,
nope. But like those Sharper Image statues they'd always have, like Predator and stuff. Like those are super cool. No girls would ever come near them, but your guy friends would be like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm jealous that you bought that, even though it was way overpriced for what it was. Yeah. It's still kind of cool to have in your house.
Like I'm thinking, like when I get a house, I kind of want to do like convert a basement to like the man cave kind of situation where you just put
all your Legos.
You have your video game systems, you have your surround sound, stuff like that. Even then, I would feel uncomfortable decking it out in all video game stuff. Yeah. I would be married at that point. I wouldn't have to impress a girl like at that point, and I'd still be like, I've stepped a line here. Yeah. I've overstepped what I should be doing with my life.
Yeah, when you embarrass yourself, you know it's a problem.
Yeah, and I know that the people who are buying these statues don't feel that way. They're people who have, statues encased in their room that they've never opened boxes of action figures. Obviously, that's not who it's appealing to. Yeah. It's not supposed to be meant for me. Same time, it's just like, what are you doing with your life? That $800 is an acceptable amount of money to spend on a statue of a video game that you're going to play for 3 months?
Right. Even back in the day, like there was this period where I would buy special editions. That's back when the special editions were like $70 to $90 tops.
Yeah, when they were just a little bit more.
They'd come with content and statues and cool things like that. And I always bought them thinking, oh, this would be cool to put up on a mantle. And I never once did that.
Yeah.
Like I never displayed any of the special editions I ever bought.
Because I feel like, to me, that age runs out once you graduate college.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was in college that I would sort of buy them, and even then I wouldn't put them up. But then after that, I was like, nope.
You're like, this is gonna be great in my dorm room, and then you're just like, oh wait, I can never
girls.
I can never bring a girl back here.
Just knock that in the garbage right away.
Like some of the special editions, all about like art books, soundtracks. Cool. Like if the game's really got like a
and like BioShock did the cool like album like of just the music, and it looked like even the CD looked like an old
like those are the little things that you can toss in there. I think I got one literally. I went to GameStop. It was the game's already been out for like 400 years. I bought the original copy, and they're just like, "Do you want the special edition?"
Yes.
And I'm just like, "Sure." And they're just like, "It won't cost you anything. We're just trying to get rid of them."
Yeah.
And it came with like a deck of cards, and came with like stupid stuff like that. I'm just like, yeah, okay, like I'm fine with this because it's just like little shit that really, I wouldn't have paid extra for it, but like at the same time, like if it was $5-10, like whatever, like a giant statue.
Yeah. So also with Evolve, I was reading an article about the sound design that they're going to do for the game.
Okay.
That they got a composer and a sound designist. I don't know. That's probably not what it's called. But anyways, there's going to be different sound design and soundtrack for both the hunters and the monster. So whatever side you're playing as, you're going to have a completely different experience. Musically, both, like I said, both sound effects and both score wise. So they're
interesting.
They're creating two different scores. And I heard for the monster, it's more of a synthesized sort of thing,
more primal.
So, right. So the guy that's doing the composition for the game, his name is Jason Graves, and I guess he's done the music for like Dead Space and the newest Tomb Raider. Games like that, and the guy that's doing the sound design, he did Assassin's Creed, some Unreal Tournaments, Far Cry, and they're both kind of working together. And the guy that's the composer said he's sort of on this non-orchestral kick that's sort of been the trend of the games for a while, and I'm sure that's something that he's done as well. So he's all about synthesizers and putting, he said, odd sounds into guitar amps and seeing what comes out. And I think that can sort of work well for the monsters. And it also kind of reminds me of the soundtrack for the new Wolfenstein game that just came out.
Okay.
It was very like 60s sci-fi, like 2001, sort of, even a little bit of Aliens. Just sort of like very... like moody, tonal, synthesize, very, I don't know. There's a segment in the new Wolfenstein where you go to the moon, and that composition, all the music there is like really great. It's all very like 60s sci-fi, which I didn't know I liked until
now, yeah.
Until like I heard that, and I also saw a movie, I think it was called The Machine.
Okay.
Which had a similar score, a very synthetic 60s sci-fi score, and I'm like totally into that right now. So anyways, I'm really excited for that. That's different. Like I like orchestral scores for video games, but that has sort of become overdone. So something different, especially if you're having something different for the monster than the humans, is kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that's a weird step for them to take, is to do two different soundtracks, essentially. That's how I'm just going to boil it down to the word soundtrack. It might not be correct, but two different soundtracks depending on what section you're playing as. And I think it makes sense in the terms of like if you're a monster... I don't want to say like you want that monster soundtrack to kind of drive you. And
it's like sort of synthetic is kind of more like foreign to you because as a monster you don't understand. So maybe that sounds more.
Maybe it's like you just pretend that one of the guys is carrying a boombox, but what they hear is AC/DC, but what you hear because you don't understand English because you're a monster is just random noise, and then that's kind of sound. If I just take it on that, I'm like that's super awesome, but at the same time I'm just like. That's going to be, interesting to work in because you're going to want to play as both sides and then you're going to be, like, oh, I really like the human soundtrack as opposed to the monster soundtrack.
Who knows what it's going to end up being by the time the game comes out, but I think it's an interesting experiment and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out.
Oh, no, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, just doing the AC/DC reference, we're just like, if you're a monster, you don't fucking understand this.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. It shouldn't be weird. Let's talk about some future games coming out and some games that have already came out.
Yeah.
I will say, and here's kind of the why I guess I kind of wanted to bring this up, is that, and we'll get to Destiny later. I know we're going to talk about Destiny later.
Yeah, well, when we come to Destiny talk, right?
Is that when we come to Destiny Corner? Well, we have a Destiny Corner, yeah.
Yeah, I have a sound effect already ready for it. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Destiny is a huge game. Gazillions of people play it, and I think gazillions is the correct number.
Yeah.
But it also feels like it's a game that you will be playing for a long time, or you need to play it for a long time to get everything out of it. What I think is crazy, though, is because it released first, it sold, a mint.
Gazillion.
Yeah. And now we're finally starting to hit, I don't want to say, like, the renaissance, but we're finally starting to get Xbox One and PS4 games that are...
Worth playing.
Yeah. Like, you obviously have your release games, and you're like, oh, man, sweet, look at this new technology. But then there's just a lull.
Right.
And they're just like, we got nothing for you.
Well, yeah, because that whole, transition of the cycles is different now, where it's, it used to be launch was super important. All the launch games were there. They had all the, poster stars. You had the Marios, the Sonics, the Halos. Now that's not really there. There's that transition where everyone's still playing the old games and they're still releasing them on both consoles. Yeah. So it's like, it does take a year or two for the, actual games that show off the new technology to come out.
And we're at a year now of everything coming out. But with Destiny, you're like, I got to punch in a billion hours of just like leveling up my gear, and especially like you and me who are achievement people, where if you really want to complete the game, you got to put in work to do this.
Jump ahead, did you see people completed it?
I have not. I didn't pull it up recently. I used to track it daily. And
last night, somebody completed it. A whole fire team beat the entire raid without dying. That was the last achievement that nobody had. So 6 people got it on TA, and then only 2 people have completed it, though. So 4 of those people that completed the raid without dying haven't completed it on hard yet.
But they're like, I got that out of the way. They're probably just gonna.
Yeah, hard's gonna be easy. Yeah, not dying.
Yeah,
there's segments in it where if one person messes up, it wipes the entire team. There's one where you go through this maze with little floating eyeballs that try to track you, and it's like it is a maze. You don't know where you're supposed to be going. If one of them sees you ever, or if you double jump, or if you shoot a gun, everyone dies. And that's just one of the in-between segments, not even one of the boss segments.
I'm very proud of that team that I don't know anything about. But anyway, stop cutting me off.
Okay.
I'm trying to get through this thing.
Yep.
Is that all these games are coming out now, and I feel like it's going to tear a lot of people away from Destiny. Because I feel like these games that are now starting to get ground... Obviously, Destiny has such a high fan base that you're not going to get everyone.
Well, and
but
also...
like Titanfall came out, and then people just dropped off the Titanfall world. And Titanfall was supposed to be system seller. For Xbox.
On paper, yes.
Yeah.
But in actuality, after you play the game and realize how little there actually is there, it does get old pretty fast. I will say, though, about the new games, at least right now, I don't think there's nothing in the same genre. There's nothing that's like...
There's no first-person shooter.
Right. Call of Duty doesn't come out for a while.
Yeah.
Because they're the same company now, and they know not to release at the same time.
That would have been
disastrous. That I think is going to hurt Destiny's player base more than anything else.
Yeah.
But, yeah, what are some of the games that you think are going to tear people away?
Well, I think like the games that... the game that's been getting rave reviews that I know about, and I don't normally follow reviews, and we'll talk about reviews later, but the new Lord of the Rings game, I know it's not Lord of the Rings. It's
Shadow of Mordor?
Shadows of Mordor has been getting very solid high marks for it. Then we have Alien Isolation that people have started putting reviews in, so the review copies are out, and people have played the game. I know the game's not out yet. It will be when this records.
Jinx.
And then you have Sunset Overdrive, that's not too much farther down the road. And then you have Dragon Age Inquisition, where they've started doing some Twitch live streams to show all the features off. So that's getting to its release window.
We're getting to the holiday release window, which is always very competitive. And I think that's why so many games have been pushed back to either the beginning of the year or the spring.
Yeah, they're trying to avoid the holiday stuff. But like those, even 4 or 5 games, I'm just like, all those games in their own merit, I'm just like, these are all games that like look great.
Yeah.
And they're all, granted, like you said, different genres. You have Alien Isolation, which was really more of a stealth survival horror kind of game. You have Sunset Overdrive, which is kind of your wacky...
Crazy shooter. Like
crazy horde
skate.
mode. Yeah. And then you have your... Jesus Christ, I'm already forgetting. You're having your Dragon Age Inquisition, which is kind of your action role-playing game.
Which is the closest, I think, to the same genre, just because of the RPG elements.
Yeah. And then you have the Lord of the Rings game, which is, I guess I want to put it on like the same scale as Fable, where it's kind of more of like, it's kind of RPG, it's kind of action, but it's like it's single player only, and it's story mode. And granted, none of those, like you said, are first person shooters, and none of them are massively multiplayer online games. But I feel like people have been waiting.
It's still dividing people's attention.
Yeah, people have been waiting for those games, and now they're going to start going like, I've played Destiny for 100 hours at this point, and I might not have everything.
Yeah.
But now I gotta move on. Because now, like, people's time are starting to get divided. Mm-hmm. And, like, Destiny was smart. It released early. It already got its sales. If nobody plays it again, they're just like, we're still the most successful game in the world. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So let's chew the fat with these games.
Okay, well, let's throw out the Lord of the Rings game first, because I don't know that much about it.
Okay.
I only started to hear about it from word of mouth.
Yep.
And then I kind of tried to watch some Twitch streams of it, because I really didn't know how the actual gameplay worked out, just based on what people were saying. So, but I have, like I said, everybody that talks about it says it's a great game.
Yeah.
You gotta get this game, and if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you're gonna like it no matter what. So, I personally am not a Lord of the Rings fan. I'm not an anti-Lord of the Rings fan, but I was never really into it.
No, I didn't read the books.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm really
movies,
just a movie guy.
I was entertained while watching the movies, but I was not, like, hardcore into the actual lore.
The lore isn't what interests me about this game. Like, at least, again, I don't have the new system, so I can only speak from all the stuff that I've read and watched about it. But what's crazy intriguing to me about this game is that you're gonna die kind of situation, but your deaths have a meaning on the whole scope of the game.
Right.
If an
a
orc,
larger scale,
if an orc kills you,
he gets promoted,
which
is amazing.
If you kill somebody that's higher, then orcs fill in the place. There's a whole
hierarchy,
and
you
of
see
how
that
things
every
work.
time. You see that sort of graphical representation of it every time you kill somebody. I was watching a Twitch stream, and somebody else not the actual player controlled character killed one of the orcs.
Yeah.
And it still showed the thing. Like I said, there's other battles going on in the world at the same time.
Yeah.
So somebody killed him because they were fighting each other, and they happened to kill one of the guys, and so it still affected the game.
Yeah, and if they kill you, they get stronger because they get promoted and stuff like that, and they can keep killing you. I think the one of the story is literally this one guy was playing the same orc. Kept killing him.
Also.
Yeah, and they remember you, and they kept killing you, and it was mocking him.
Yeah.
And just it comes out, we're just holy crap, not only are you supposed to die, I mean, obviously you could probably do a playthrough without dying, but it's then the game remembers you, and it's just
great.
I killed you 5 times. What are you going to do to me? I'm super powerful kind of shit. And you're just and then it's so much more rewarding to then finally you get your payback.
Yeah, it's kind of creating the AI. It's kind of like actual other characters. Like if you were to play online against somebody, but in a positive way, not in a really shitty way.
Yeah, no one's yelling faggot.
No.
Over the intercom.
Except for you to that character when you beat him.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because it's the whole idea of video games in general have always been death doesn't really matter sort of thing. In a way, it's if you die, it's it never happened. We're just going to do it again, and we're going to reset everything, and we're going to try again.
You're going to lose a guy.
So it's interesting that death not only has a consequence,
loved Halo. But and then like, you know, there's so many reviews that are kind of all over the map, and there's, you know, there's 8s and 9s, and then there's 5s and 6s.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to kind of start looking the reviews, and I'll be like, okay, it looks like even the 8s and 9s are commenting on the story is kind of lacking. Then I can go like,
maybe it's not for me.
Maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah.
But but like you said, it really depends on the game. I've made my mind up about games before the reviews come in, and then the reviews either kind of keep me in check or I ignore them completely.
Right, which is kind of what happened with me with Alien Isolation. Like, I was kind of on the fence, and I was waiting. Like, I knew I was going to play it, but I hadn't pre-ordered it. And then after I saw the sort of mixed reviews, I then decided to pre-order it, which sounds weird. But it's almost like I'm kind of like, no, I'm going to like this game. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to play it and enjoy it and just prove that either I love it or hate it, but I want to make my decision on my own.
Yeah. And I think some of those games that are very specific to a genre, I think you can kind of do that. Because you can like Alien Isolation is a survival horror. There's no other aspect. Like, yes, it's first person, but it's not a first person shooter.
Yep.
Yes, I'm sure there's some puzzles, but it's not a puzzle game or an adventure game or something like that. And yeah, there's a story or whatever, but you can't claim it, you know, like, oh, it's one of those long story games. It's like, it's a survival horror. You have to get through a room and you can't be killed. So it's like, you can take a review, but if you like those kind of games, then just like, there's nowhere else to go.
Right, which is the same thing as, like, I talked about last episode that I hadn't seen the Destiny reviews except for one.
Yeah.
Afterwards, after we recorded the episode, I went back and went to Metacritic and looked at the reviews, and I looked at the lowest rated review at the time.
And Critic or personal? Because personal is a stupid idea.
No, I don't look at the user reviews. That's insane.
Yeah.
No, but I looked at the lowest rated critic review on the list at the time.
Okay.
And they had given it a 40%. And so what I do is when I look at people's reviews, I then go to the other games they reviewed and see
what else they've given.
They stack up.
That's smart. I don't do that.
So the highest game they ever rated, which they gave 100% to, was like, I forgot the name at the time. It's like Fantasy Soccer 11 or something. It's like one of those
fucking great games.
Soccer games that come out every year, and it was blah 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 11. The lowest rated game they ever gave was Mass Effect. They gave it a 0.
Wow.
So they gave Mass Effect a 0 and a soccer game 100%.
Mass Effect 1?
Mass Effect 1. They gave it 0%. So I'm like,
it's
no wonder they didn't like this game, because it's a lot closer to Mass Effect than it is to soccer.
World Soccer Fantasy Edition.
But it's stupid that sort of Metacritic does sort of, you know, balance all these things the same. Everybody gets the same amount of
everyone gets the same vote.
And you can be some idiot that doesn't review things and still get...
I only play Madden, and Destiny's not Madden, 0.
But to give Mass Effect a 0? To give any game a 0 is ridiculous, but Mass Effect a 0, obviously they're idiots.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, you can hate Mass Effect, and I understand your hatred. Like, for the first one, you're like, oh man, I don't like driving the Mako, and it seems
I had
convoluted.
Some frustrations about it, but I would never give it a 0.
The lowest I could see it getting is like a 60.
Yeah.
And that's just like, you're just like, man, all this other shit detracted from the good stuff, and I have to give it a 60. Like, I can back a 60 review. I love the game. I'll always say I love the game. Like, that won't change my mind. But like, to give it a 0 out of 100, you're just like, I didn't even get past the credits because I fucking hate space.
Yeah, and I broke it in half. I'm not here for space, guys.
Yeah, I hate space.
You can't play soccer in space.
If it's not a soccer field, I don't fucking want to play it.
Can't play soccer 0 G's.
Yeah. It's like, okay. Like, I mean, that's the same thing with the user reviews. It's like the Destiny user reviews. It's like so many zeros and so many 10s to balance out the zeros.
Every big game is like that. Every big game is all over the map. Every Call of Duty, every Halo, every Battlefield, it's just insane.
And just like, it's crazy.
And it's before the games come out. If you look at the user reviews, it's always before the game comes out. Because they want every game has a 3 out of 10.
Yeah. It's like, I get it. Like, either you didn't buy the game and you want people to feel shitty for buying the game, or you bought the game and you were disappointed. Like, I understand all the reasons to give it a 0. But no game is a 0.
No game is a 0.
I've hated games, and I've been like, I will never play this again, and I will never force this on anyone.
It's a 4 out of 10.
It's a 4 out of 10. Like, there's still some merit here. I still had fun doing this one jumping puzzle. 4 out of 10.
So, we can't go an episode without talking about the Walking Dead game.
I think we could. We could have. We could have done it.
Nope. You gotta keep the streak alive. So, The Walking Dead is coming out for the new consoles. So, Season 1 is coming out October 14th. Season 2 is coming out the 21st.
Yep.
So that kind of bothers me because I was really hoping they would be packaged together.
I think it's stupid to release Season 1 because Season 1 now is very old.
Right. If that's the thing, if they packaged them together and it was like $10 to $15 for both seasons,
sure,
great.
Great
but now
idea.
It's 2 different packages, 2 different seasons a week apart. I'm not going to buy it.
No, and well, you shouldn't buy it because you've already played them.
No, but I was thinking about like building a collection, having the physical copy because I never have the physical copy for the 360. I was definitely planning on buying Wolf Among Us Season 1 for the new systems just to have it, and I probably will. I don't know because I'm not buying now Walking Dead. I don't know, but like I said, I like building collections of games. I like being like here's my games. I can play
here's my
whatever
wall.
I want.
Here's my wall of games.
Right.
Yep.
Or if you you want to play Walking Dead Season 1, here, I'll loan you the disc rather than be like, okay, go here, download this thing.
Yeah, spend $20 to get it. No, I agree with you. Like, the collection thing, I totally get. But, and this goes all the way back to our fateful conversation of remakes and stuff like this. Yeah. And I agree with you on this one. I think this is stupid to release them as 2 separate things.
Yeah.
Bundle them together.
With 400 days.
With 400 days.
Yeah.
If you want to make this a $40 game, that's fine if you bundle them together. Because if you look at if you buy them online, it's $5 an episode. So so you're looking at $20 for one, $20 for the other, and
plus
400 days. Yeah. So you're like, oh, I get a $5 discount, but I have a physical copy. I have an instruction book. It's $40. I'll support that move. Yeah. To release them separately is just like, oh, I really only want Season 2.
Right, and that's the thing, too. I don't know the price points. I should have looked it up, but at the time, there was no prices available.
I imagine they're probably about $25.
Which is insane to me.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, granted, you're like, oh, you said 40's okay, and 2 of them together is 50. But,
no, I agree with that, though.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. So.
Well, no, I'm not saying you. I'm saying...
No.
Our listener.
I know,
our one listener. Who's
me.
super supportive of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I loved the first season. Walking Dead Season 2 is on my next Bing Points reward list of when I start getting money and I can start getting things for free.
Yeah.
Because I don't spend my own money.
I voiced my opinion about Season 2, but I still think you should play it.
Oh, I will, because I know Season 3 is coming out, and it'll be one of those things where I just keep playing. It'll be one of those things where, like, man, I hate Season 3, 4, 5, and 6, but 7 could come back, and it could be great.
I know we sort of talked about this before, so Borderlands is still a no for you, right? The Telltale version of Borderlands?
Super no.
What about Game of Thrones? I don't know if you watch it at all, but...
I don't watch it. That's going to be a wait and see. It'll have to...
I'm intrigued, but they've showed nothing about it.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it's about, so I'm intrigued. I kind of want them to make the Back to the Future game again. That's the game they made right before The Walking Dead.
PlayStation.
And I kind of want to play that game.
I don't want to get into this because this could be a whole separate day.
Yeah.
This was my whole...
We recorded for 4.5 hours.
I make rants in the shower when I think about things to say.
Yeah.
And I was like, we could have a whole episode of why I don't like Microsoft, and this is part of it.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons that I was very upset is that Microsoft's rule is that if it doesn't get released on the same day or they get privilege, this is their old 360 rule.
Yeah, I think they've changed it because there's been some news about that.
Yeah, I think they have changed that. But the old rule is if it wasn't the same day or they didn't get privilege, they wouldn't release the game.
Yeah.
Tales of Monkey Island fell to that
because
it was easier for them to make the transition to like fucking Wii U or whatever it was. So Microsoft was like, we don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
So I had to get it on PlayStation, even though I'd much rather have the achievements for it. And Back to the Future was the same thing.
Yeah.
Because that was Telltale, and I bought both of those on PlayStation, and I had a blast playing Monkey Island. Me and Caitlin played the first episode of Back to the Future. It's, again, the same thing. And I'm just like, why did you have to be a dick, Microsoft? Like, just it's a game. Like, just go back and just freaking say, like, we want more sales.
Yeah, well, that's what they were doing. They were trying to make a power move, and at the time, they had the momentum. They had the power behind them. So whether or not it worked or not...
Yeah, I mean, that's up for debate. Yeah. But it's just like, I was so upset because the companies would say, like, we're coming to Xbox. And then Microsoft would be like, did you already release it on PlayStation?
Yeah, too bad.
Fuck you. We don't want it anymore. Yeah. And there's so many games that I feel like they missed that chance because they were just like, we don't want games that are secondhand. And it's just like...
We don't want your sloppy
Yeah, it's like, come on, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Even if you had only gotten like 20 copies, whatever, like, it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, digital releases is ridiculous.
Yeah, like it would have cost you 10 cents to put the link up on your freaking website, and people are paying $20, and you're clearly getting a cut of that.
Yeah.
It's like, just swallow your balls for a second and
swallow your balls, guys.
And put it up.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap this bad boy up.
Okay. All right, guys. Follow us on Twitter at NetFunPodcast. Look at the website. This is funnymorepodcast.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitch. What else? Oh, yeah. So doing the 24-hour game marathon. If you're into that jazz, subscribe to us on iTunes.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Do things to us.
Do things to us in that cat's pajamas.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds, that sounds like we're doing dirty things to cats. All right.
Are we not?
Yeah, well, no, that's how we're going to end it.
Okay.
Thanks, guys, for listening.
Thanks.